Greetings. Our Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 26.5, and this is Wednesday. Well, the United Kingdom and France have signed a declaration of intent on deploying troops in Ukraine if a peace deal is made with Russia. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has announced. I'm getting this article from the BBC. After talks with Ukraine's allies in Paris, he said the United Kingdom and France would establish military hubs across Ukraine to deter future invasion, while French President Emmanuel Macron later said thousands of troops may be deployed. Allies also largely agreed robust security guarantees for Ukraine and proposed that the U.S. would take the lead in monitoring the truce. But the key issue of territory is still being discussed. Russia has repeatedly warned that any foreign troops in Ukraine would be a legitimate target. Now, I'm going to highlight that for a minute. So Moscow has not commented on the announcements made in the French capital. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Coming up on 4 years, folks. And Moscow currently controls about 20% of Ukrainian territory. In related news, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said the move would be consistent with recent practice on the use of United Kingdom armed forces. It comes after the United Kingdom and France reiterated their commitment to deploy troops to deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again if a deal to end the conflict is struck. The government has not specified how many British troops could be committed, with Sir Keir, adding it would be in accordance with our military plans. So, should we, when looking at, let me take a, when looking at this, the thing that struck me out was the Russia, that means Putin, saying that the British forces and French forces would be legitimate targets. Forget it. Putin knows that any attack on British or French forces would be suicidal. And yes, I was writing that down as I was talking because you're seeing me go through my thought processes. But now you could say Putin is crazy. I think I've said that a few times. You could say he's an egomaniac, and I think I may have at least implied that, if not said it. I may have also said that he has this dream of restoring the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union. And I believe I've said that before. I don't know why, I thought it was all right before I started. In any case, one thing I don't think I've ever said that Putin was stupid. He's a smart man, very smart. But he does have a huge ego. He does have, he listens to what the British general, or not the British, but the Russian generals tell him what they think he needs. He wants to know, not what he needs to know, but what he wants to know. And I can understand them. He's telling him what he should know If he doesn't like it, you may be gone in many different ways the very next day. So they have to be careful what they tell him. But Putin is not, like I said, he's not dumb. And he knows math. He knows the nuclear power that the British have. He knows the nuclear power that NATO has. And if France has its forces there and attacks them, he brings on the entire NATO. And he could bring on British too, because while they're no longer part of NATO, or no, well, they're still part of NATO. They're not a part of the common market, but they are still part of NATO. And so if you attack one member of NATO, you attack them all. And so he can do the numbers. And so he knows that if he attacks, he can look out his window in the next few moments and see multiple nuclear weapons coming right at him. I'm not joking, folks. I seriously believe that's exactly what would happen. His attack on the French or British or any other forces in NATO, and if that agreement is in place upon Ukraine, it does not matter whether he uses. Well, no, it does matter. If he uses nuclear, he's going to get nuclear back. If he uses non-nuclear, he may get nuclear back, but he'll certainly get the non-nuclear form. So he can do the math, and he knows it would be all over. That's not what he wants. He plays bluffing. One of the reasons he thinks he can go toe to toe with President Trump is that, like Trump, he knows how to hide his best cards, how to read his opponent, and things of this nature. I think he's reading Trump slightly wrong, and he does not realize. And I think Trump is sending him signals. This thing that was happening in South America, and for that matter, other places in the world too. When Trump says something, and then he does it, that sends a signal not only to the people he's dealing with right then, but also sends a signal to Russia, China, and so forth. And it's sort of like you could characterize it by saying there was in our own Revolutionary War, there was a flag that they used to carry. What it said was, "Don't tread on me," and it showed a snake. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Trump is a snake. I'm trying to say is that his attitude is the same thing. Don't tread on me. Or you could put it in today's terminology, don't mess with me. You don't know. You have, or you should know what's coming if you do. And you've seen what I've done now. Take note. And so no matter what's going on, when Trump speaks or acts, other countries do pay attention. This separates him from President Biden. A lot of things that separate him from Biden. Biden, during his campaign to get elected the first time, he actually hid in his basement. And he did not act presidential at all. For candidates that you're supposed to act president, he did get elected, and that's a whole different story that I don't want to go into those weeds. But that was a characteristic of his. Instead of facing something head on, he quite often would shift it off to the side here or there, try to misdirect and so forth. And in fact, that's what he did with Ukraine. He would say, "We're sending you troops," and he would send them, but they were what I call slow walked. So by the time they got to Ukraine, it was almost they were hanging on by a thread. and when those weapons got there, that made them they were able to take them and use them very successfully, and to throw off the Russian attack. So when you're talking President Trump, though, you're talking about a whole different type of person. This guy's a fighter. This guy is saying, "Don't tread on me. Don't mess with me, or you're going to get a far stronger response than what Biden ever gave." And so I believe that Putin knows all this, and so that's why I said forget it. The I just don't believe that he would ever pull that trigger unless he has a, like I said, unless he is crazy, truly crazy. Um, so that is, I don't want to, I don't want to say to ignore it altogether because it is a threat. And if it's nuclear, it is a deadly threat that could kill a lot of people. But I personally believe that Putin knows his parameters. Has a He may not know all the details because he only knows what his generals really tell him, but he can probably see between the lines, and he knows things aren't exactly like they're telling him or exactly like he's telling the world. And so he's basically trying to fight to survive as the head of the Russian government, and he's gotten himself into a mess that's hard to get out of. On the one hand, I think he truly wants to get out because he's losing. He's gaining ground. He's gaining inches and losing thousands. And in the end, that's going to be a catastrophe. And he can see that. But at the same time, he's got pressures on the right, far right, that are saying they want him to go in and to invade and take Ukraine and even beyond. Well, the Europeans, he knows the Europeans are aware of that. He's aware of that. But he's in a delicate, on a balance beam, if you will. Any misstep could send him over the side. So I'm not pitying him. I'm not feeling sorry for him. He got him in that position all by himself. But I think that's what's going on. And so he pushes it as far as he can, and then grudgingly gives an inch here or there. On the other hand, you have President Trump, who also knows how to read people, perhaps better, probably better than Putin does. And so when he senses it, he takes that inch by inch. He's gaining ground, and I think there's going to be some kind of a treaty. But I always keep in mind that whatever treaty the United States gets in with Russia, that is not an eternal agreement. That is one that will someday be broken, probably by Russia. Then when they get strong enough and healthy enough, they will return, but not to Ukraine. They will turn their eyes south towards a little land called Israel. Well, that's it for today. I hope this has been informative. I always try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. Hopefully, I did at least one of those things today. You have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.